Oh, no, I just advanced the slide. I can,
Okay.
it's still.
Well, that's what I was looking at, the slide advancement, but yeah. Okay. And the group chat is active. Like I said, certainly leverage that to connect and network. And also as we get into the presentation, if you have questions, we can leverage that, but also feel free to unmute and speak up. But certainly Zoom etiquette is always preferred, even if we are all unmuted. That's kind of hard to maintain, but we will try our best. So welcome everybody. We have a nice group here tonight for our October user group meeting, virtually held out of Austin, but attended by so many folks. And my co-host, Chris, or co-leader, Chris Robertson is on. Zach, who's normally here, is taking a break. He's not on tonight, but certainly sends his best to the whole community and will be joining us again in a couple of user group meetings. So, but Chris and I are here with you tonight, and on the agenda, so we'll go through a few announcements and then introduce our guest speaker, Stephen Frers, who's certainly no stranger to the Austin community and the Salesforce community as a whole. Then we'll get our presentation. Stephen's going to present the upcoming release, and we'll have some Q&A. Like I said, feel free to make this interactive and as fun as we want to make it, and then we'll do a quick wrap up. But first we want to go, and then I feel like maybe there's some announcements that I should have in my brain at the moment. Is there not a slide with announcements on it, Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to take care of that. And
oh, perfect. I'm like, am I supposed to just know all of these announcements? Because I think I know a couple of them, but I might miss at least one or two from our prep meeting yesterday. Okay. Thank you, Chris. So we'll get to that. But let me hand it over to Kate. A huge thanks to Maravis for letting us use their Zoom. We tried the other platform, but we're so happy to be back on Zoom. We love seeing faces and the interaction here is great. So thank you, Kate, and I'll hand it over to you.
Yep, and we're happy to have you guys back, and certainly happy to do this during times of COVID, where the Austin user group has been so important to all of the Maravis graduates getting into the Salesforce ecosystem. So we're happy to do this just to help continue to foster that community. My name is Kate Perez. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Maravis. Some of you may have heard of us. We are a nonprofit partner of Salesforce that's focused on veterans and military spouses, career transition, and getting them into the Salesforce ecosystem. Like I said, we are headquartered in Austin, Texas. So this community is very, very near and dear to our hearts. And I do have here just a quick slide, in terms of what you guys can do to get involved with us as a nonprofit. There's a lot of different opportunities, everything from doing resume reviews and mock interviews to coaching, depending on what certifications you all have and what your experience is. We offer a variety of different certification programs for veterans and military spouses, and we are always looking for coaches to come in and mentor them and help them get plugged into the ecosystem, open up your network, make them feel comfortable, and all of that. One thing that I did want to highlight, and announcing it here before it's even on Twitter, we don't even have the RSVP link live yet, but we are going to be celebrating our 5-year anniversary on October 30th. So Maravis Mixers are a lot of fun. It's a great opportunity to network with our graduates, with our board members, our volunteers, all of that, and learn a little bit more about the organization. But if you follow us on Twitter at Maravis Vets, you'll see that invitation. You can RSVP to be a part of that virtual event. It'll be a lot of fun. And as always, I have the volunteer link here. So if you do want to get involved, we're always looking for additional volunteers to help us with our Q4 programs as we start to plan Q1 as well. And we have graduates on the call. So if you have any questions, please feel free. This is my dog. Please feel free to drop them into the chat window. If you do have any questions, either I or some of our graduates or volunteers that are on the call are happy to answer any questions that you might have. So with that, I think I'm turning it over to Chris.
Cool, awesome. Thanks so much, Kate. Just a few quick announcements to get through before we turn it over to Stephen. So our next meeting will likely be the first week of December. So stay tuned for a date for that. There is a developer user group meeting happening November 18th. I spoke to Nadina last week. she said, yes, it is happening. It's not on their page yet, but stay tuned for more information coming on that if you would like to attend. We announced this a couple of months ago. Unfortunately, we just don't feel like we can safely have a holiday party this year. So we're gonna have a big blowout next year in 2021. So sorry for that. And then lastly, go vote. Early voting is open in many, well, it's open in Texas. And if you're joining outside of Texas, check to see if early voting is available there. If it's not, go vote next month. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Stephen. I'm going to stop sharing real quick before I turn it over to Stephen. I just want to say thank you again, Stephen. We are very, very, very lucky to have you do this for us again. We always love it when you are able to come talk to us about the seasonal releases. One quick note, we're back on Zoom this time, so feel free to unmute yourself and ask Stephen any questions as he's going through his presentation. You're also welcome to pop a question in the chat, but Stephen has been gracious enough to allow us to interrupt him as he is presenting. So feel free to do that and ask any questions. And so with that, Stephen, I'd like to turn it over to you and thank you again.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Chris. Cindy, and appreciate y'all kind of organizing all of this, and Kate, certainly for the continued sponsorship. You guys have always been stepping up. So I just want to make sure and recognize y'all's ongoing commitment to the user group and really appreciate that. So as Chris mentioned, for those of you that maybe I haven't met, my name is Stephen Frers. I'm the Success Director at Salesforce and cover companies in the financial services industry vertical. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Winter 21. Hopefully we're all dialed into the right release here. And let's see if I can get the presenter view as noted by Chris. Bear with me here, folks. I think I've got a little bit of a slow response time here. All right. So thanks for your patience. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
All right, cool. So as with all of our presentations, we're going to start with the forward-looking statement. Just make all your buying decisions on generally available product. There'll be a few things in here that I'll mention that are either in beta or pilot release. So those of you that have attended one of these in the past have been familiar with some of those terms. But feel free to interrupt if you've got any questions about joining any of those pilot or beta efforts. And if there are some open availability to those, or if they're generally open just in kind of pilot phase, then I'll certainly direct y'all to the right place there. So in terms of agenda, we're going to really try to focus on generally available stuff just for the interest of time. There's some recorded webinars that I'll share at the end of the presentation that will go into some demos. So any of you that may have missed any of the release readiness presentations, there's just another take on sort of this presentation that's been recorded that actually has some demo in it as well. So I want to recognize too that you know, it seems like every release we keep getting you know, sort of more and more you know, things to focus on or new capabilities. And so I wanted to take just a minute and recognize that it is a very big, you know, sort of effort to keep up with the changing capabilities on our platform. So just wanted to share that with you and make sure that if you do feel overwhelmed by it, you're not alone. And either reach out to myself or anyone in the community, and we'll help direct you into the right place. Okay, just want to make sure that everybody can still hear me.
Yep.
Okay, good. I got a little pop-up that said leave meeting and it said cancel. So I just wanted to make sure we're not missing anything here. All right. So I think, we're past most of these dates, but, just at the very end here, I did want to emphasize that we are going to be kind of reinstating the release trailhead exams. So those are going to start picking up again soon. I don't know specifically what the dates are, but I know that there was sort of a pass given for like the last two releases or so, but I think we are going to get started back up again in April of 2021.
You said the same.
Oh, hi. Over here and say hi. My kids. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Yep. Got a little meeting crashers. So this has been sort of a recurring theme that I've had throughout several of the presentations that I've done on the release, and I wanted to, really kind of circle back on the in-app guidance and help enhancements that have been done, and really just kind of emphasize, if you haven't started using this capability and some of the features in it, I'd strongly advise you. We have some Trailhead learning content out there as well that you can look at. So anybody that has been kind of paying attention to some of the Lightning app builder capability and declarative app building in particular, you'll know that this has been a very long-awaited feature in terms of making conditional fields and elements on a page without having to recreate new page layouts and so forth. So it's really one of these long-awaited features that I think is finally starting to really overstep a lot of the feature capability that we had on Classic, that it's really taking it to that next level that Lightning was, I think, intended to be. So, how many, 7 years, maybe 6 years later. So I jest, but I think that, that it shows some of the emphasis that we've had in the investment in Lightning and trying to get it to that point. Anybody have any questions yet? I know we're just kind of getting kicked off here. Okay, great. Gonna keep on trucking here. So, there is a migration wizard on this. I didn't really poll the audience here to find out how many folks have started using this yet, but for those of you that are just exploring it, there is a sort of migration wizard that will take you through your page layouts and get them into the new dynamic form configuration. So the same thing has been developed in terms of our action framework. So making actions dynamically or conditionally available or visible, not only in the top header of the form, but also within components on the form as well. And I think we're supporting it on sort of the top 5 or 6 standard objects, and then all custom objects for sort of these context-based actions. So that's, in terms of admin nirvana, I think this is getting us at least one step closer, at least in my opinion. Probably not as an experienced admin as most of y'all are anymore, but this is one of the areas that I was pretty excited about. There's sort of some demo screenshots in here of some of the conditional visibility, steps. It's handled very similar to how you would put components on a page and manage the conditional visibility of those components.
And Stephen, I have a question. That's
Yeah.
that's only available for custom objects, is that right?
It's available for accounts and contacts, opportunities, and I think cases. Oh, and leads. Yeah.
Okay.
At least the those context based. So as you're thinking, so imagine the sort of path configuration, so you can essentially have those actions tied to other conditions on the page.
Okay.
But right now it's within those standard objects. And I did not verify if that works in console yet or not. I'm betting that it does, but I'll have to kind of verify that stuff. Okay, so yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, for clarification, I'm sorry. So you've got the ability to customize which actions by profile. Those are on those standard objects, but the dynamic forms is still only on custom objects.
Correct. Yes.
So we can't have dynamic forms and customizable actions on the same page ever at this point.
Well, not yet. So that's certainly, I think, again, safe harbor, something that we're working toward, but we've refactored a lot of the underlying plumbing to really sort of break these into really sort of these microservices that are supporting all of the new kind of Lightning web services and Lightning platform in general. So it's a great question because, in some cases, it does take us a while to kind of get what we say is a great feature, but get it fully deployed to all of the objects. So it's a good call out. So Salesforce Anywhere, I brought this up in our last discussion. This is in beta. It is an open beta. So I think I shared the link for it last time. It's in this presentation. I'll share it here again. This is based on our Quip platform in terms of sort of that real-time REST delivery. So you can get push notifications from things like reports, dashboards, record changes, the value in a report changes beyond a threshold, or you can set up those filters and conditions inside Salesforce Anywhere, and you can even tie it to an existing list view. A lot of really cool capability, and especially for folks that are out of the office a lot, i.e., kind of the situation that we're in now. And I've found a lot of benefits from using it, and even get little notices on my Apple Watch as well. So I guess the cool factor is there if you're looking for that. All right, good. So I mentioned that this is the beta. You'll be able to find it directly inside of Setup. Link to it. The some of the enhancements that we've started releasing have been, kind of doing these card contextual sharing. So think of if any of you have used Quip, how you can kind of collaborate around a document. You're essentially collaborating around the record in this feed. I don't have to see all of your faces to really guess that you're wondering, well, why do I have this chatter feed, and then now I've got this Quip feed, and I've got an activity case feed, and all these other things that are coming at you. So very well recognized within Salesforce. We're making a lot of strides to bring those together. I think some of you have seen the Quip integration with our platform, and being able to surface documents and do editing sort of right inside records. And this feed is going to begin being a much more seamless integration with those records. But as of now, it's going to show up in this mobile app or in a widget within your Salesforce web window. Here's a couple of examples on sort of how you work through that. Again, I'll share this deck at the end so that you can kind of see some of the features in action. Any questions so far? All right, keep on trucking here. The next topic here in terms of, let me just get past the Salesforce anywhere here. Okay, right here. I wanted to get to this topic around performance analysis. As most of you that have transitioned to Lightning know, we've had some fits and starts getting performance really dialed in, and maybe that's an understatement, but I think it is accurate that we've made a lot of progress in terms of Lightning performance. And one of the areas that was really lacking for some time was just having a consolidated set of tools within the platform to kind of focus on Lightning performance. Because now, as we start layering in all of these new capabilities and new features with Einstein and web-based components, integrating in with other things, we've got to have much more performant platforms. So those tools and diagnostics we're bringing out, so that you can really focus on it as an admin as you're creating pages or looking at, how sharing is configured and so forth. So we do have some white papers around this. I would highly encourage you to look through some of those if you haven't done so already. There's also some best practices around developing Lightning components. And as I said, the performance is certainly an area that we try to focus on. In fact, do focus on every release. So as we enable you more to become more diagnostic around it, that can just help us get resolution to those issues much faster. Chris, are we doing okay on time?
Yeah, I think we are doing great.
All right, awesome. Well, I again can't see quite the show of hands, but I would like to maybe know if there's anyone that is not using multi-factor authentication. Feel free to just say, hey, me, or we're not. Okay, well, so I won't call anybody out, but if you're not using multi-factor authentication, highly recommend that you kind of learn about the different options that you have there, from OTP to other authenticator type functionality. It's really going to become sort of the table stakes for security and access to the platform. And we're really trying to make it very easy to roll those things out. I think if any of you are familiar with any of the online banking platforms and multi-factor authentication, and Amazon rolled it out recently. Similar process here that we're really trying to make sure that we're remaining performant and secure at the same time. So big focus on that. All right, so in terms of getting some of the information with you guys, hold on, I got something popping up in front of me here, and I don't want to get away here. On search, so we talked a little bit about Einstein search in our, I think, the last two presentations, as it's kind of transitioned into GA, which is now in the winter release. So really getting individualized and personalized search activity and machine learning over time about how a user interacts with Salesforce, how they interact with records, frequency, what types of objects do they use more often than others, when something comes up in the type ahead list, are they picking the first one or the fourth one? Those kind of things are kind of all going on in the background with Einstein search, so that it can provide this much more relevant search results as you go through that. So if you haven't turned it on yet, definitely turn it on in the sandbox, UAT environment or something like that. Run it through some paces. It's had some really good benefit across quite a number of customers that I've worked with, and most of the customers I've spoken with, and I think the ones that have had challenges with it were ones where they already had an enterprise search platform, and they weren't really ready to decide which one to transition to. So it was more of a content thing than anything else. So anyway, I digress. I'm going to keep on moving here. Any questions on Einstein Search and how you would access that? There's some instruction here on how you're start to set up. So from there, let's get into surveys. So surveys is another one that we've been talking about for a period of time. If you haven't started using surveys, just use it internally. Just IT help desk survey, or how am I doing as an admin survey, or how are you doing as a boss survey? Any of those. I think it's the simplicity of what we have built and now evolved into our current survey product is pretty remarkable. I think in the span of about a little less than 2 years, have really gotten it to pretty on par with most of the major survey platforms. And one of the advantages, I think, of having that integrated in with your objects is that your ability to sort of branch and control automation and so forth from that becomes super powerful. So based on survey responses, getting immediate response to someone that maybe has a really low NPS score or a low CSAT score, a lot of really great capabilities there. So please check it out. And everybody gets, I think it's like 300 survey responses free in your Salesforce org. I think that may still be applying for new orgs, but nevertheless, I'd encourage you to try it out. Okay, Lightning Scheduler. Some of you know, this has been really popular with call center scheduling and field service and so forth, and we're bringing a lot of that capability into just scheduling time with an agent. And all of you that are obviously interacting with our help and training site has experienced some of that, and extending this out to some new capabilities. But really the biggest enhancement here is getting resource availability from an external calendar. That's kind of the biggest knock on Lightning Scheduler to this point. So I think in terms of ease of use, this has been a really good enhancement. Okay, let's move on into opportunities. So I think if you look at a lot of the UI enhancements that we've been focusing on, a lot of them have been this sort of dynamic or try to move more to real time, either page variations or toaster pop-ups, other sort of real-time information. And this is an extension of that, where we're trying to provide more real-time updates. So as folks look at a list view and look at the records, they can see those changes, if they're moving up or down, or what recently changed. And if you're thinking about some of that stage history stuff from Classic, this is essentially the same underlying platform. We've actually started making some enhancements around the old history tracking capability. So I'm not exposing or letting anything out of the bag to let you know that we're working on it, but I am excited that the field history and record history is getting some proper attention, because I think it's been quite a while since it's had some focus. So nevertheless, we're using that to drive some better reporting and trending and some other things. A lot of that we used as seed data for when we transitioned folks to Einstein Analytics. So All right, so speaking of Einstein, our opportunity scoring model is just getting additional filtering capability and being able to manage exclusions and so forth that will just help fine tune the modeling capability of the machine learning function. Any questions so far? All right, awesome. So we're going to jump into a little bit on territory management and forecasting. So specifically around forecasting, we had been working on a lot of UI enhancements here. We're trying to really make this the landing page for your sales managers, sales executives that need to do weekly or daily calls, and a lot of those capabilities required some of the underlying objects to go through some refactoring. We've gone, I think, maybe almost a year now, where we can start seeing and reap a lot of those benefits on being able to do inline editing in this sort of real-time forecasting model where it's updating and cascading forecast results. So I'm pretty excited about at least giving sales managers the ability to do that a little bit more real time, a little bit more easily than they were previously. So in terms of territory management, the long-awaited assigning of a territory when you create an opportunity is here. So that was kind of a pain, and at least for me, required a lot of explaining to sales reps on why they had to go in and do things, and just it wasn't pleasant. So I'm sure it wasn't pleasant for some of y'all either. So that is gladly here. So email, we've email's always been kind of an interesting topic at Salesforce. Ever since we first released our Outlook integration years ago. And as it's sort of evolved and we've gone through all of these sort of iterations of, Outlook for Salesforce, Salesforce for Outlook, Lightning Salesforce for Outlook, and Outlook something, anyway, I get confused with the names too. So I say that sort of in jest to really emphasize the fact that we've been doubling down on email integration and email capability for the last 3, maybe 4 releases, and I think you've kind of seen some consolidation of capability into Lightning Sync and kind of where we're going with the product. So I just encourage you to pay attention to some of these new features around email, because they are some areas where we've seen a lot of efficiency gain, not only in activity tracking, but also just helping with overall account management and things of that nature when you've got email more tightly integrated. Any questions before I jump into EAC? All right, so those of you that have been using Lightning Sync, you probably got an email recently, or maybe a month or 2 ago, about our transition from Lightning Sync to Einstein Activity Capture. That this will become the platform for that. There's obviously some enhancement and work going on there to make this a seamless integration, but just wanted you to know that you can have some flexibility there on when you transition and get some enhanced capability once you do. Kind of back to the multi-factor authentication topic from earlier, the identity management in general has been getting some focus in trying to, again, make the user experience much easier and really try to help with, just that ease of use and ease of transition between desktop and mobile. So, some of the things that we're doing around email integration, the goal is to really simplify that work stream and really make the device kind of irrelevant and be able to access the platform in any way. So the transition for Lightning Sync, I think, starts in with this release. Then, you know, as you start taking some of the trailheads, there's actually, I think I've got a trailhead module in here on the Einstein activity capture. If you haven't taken that, I strongly encourage you to do so. And then, you know, certainly if you're an O365 customer, there's some additional enhancements there. Any questions so far?
Yeah, Stephen, we had one in the chat. So someone
Okay.
asked, when emailing from Salesforce, I've noticed the email is received as EXT. I'm assuming that's external email by customers. How can we go about changing this?
Yeah, so there are some settings in the email deliverability and where its origin is from. So I can answer you offline with a link to the help and training article that kind of describes that. If anyone else has anything to add, please jump in. Thanks, Jillian. All right, good. So let me jump back to this since we were talking about email. This is a good feature, I'm sorry, that is finally kind of getting caught up with what we could do back in the classic days of you know, running a bulk email send from a list view. And so essentially this is the latest revision of that in Lightning, and being able to utilize those existing list views and then schedule templated email send. All right, so we're going to jump into Service Cloud, and specifically the setup assistant. This has been sort of an ongoing focus. I think a lot of you have seen that are using Service Cloud. You've seen some of those changes in the setup menu over the last couple of years, and so we're continuing to invest in areas for simplifying that setup. Because we need to make, you know, deploying Service Cloud, you know, as easy as possible for admins to, you know, really ingest those business requirements and be able to translate them into features that sort of make sense, but also remove some of the complexity. And that's really the goal of the Service Setup Assistant, is to remove a lot of the complexity that we had with, you know, any of you that went through the early pains of live agent, you know, setup and configuration can attest that sometimes Service Cloud wasn't the easiest thing to set up in the world. So, you know, we've made a ton of progress in that area, and really, I think a lot of kudos to our Service Cloud teams for, you know, getting this setup assistant. I think it's, you know, a really great direction for admins and for you know, folks that are just getting started with the platform. Okay, I've been kind of beating this drum for a little while too about getting started with bots, and hopefully some of you had a chance to go through some of our bot cookbooks and some of the example bots that we've released on the App Exchange. So for those of you that haven't tested it yet or tried it, there's some super great trailhead modules and paths on Trailhead that'll have you walking through creating one and having it up and running in no time. So really encourage you to use that. I think the biggest area, at least for early adopters, was, you know, some of the configuration that required, and you know, with the addition of templates and better guided setup. We had guided setup before, but it wasn't quite all the way there. So now that it's more of an end-to-end process, and you can start from templates, it's really, there's no reason not to at least start out with a basic template and get it out there, see if there's anything that you can start to help deflect questions or help add additional services, either internally or to your customers. I won't spend a whole lot of time on kind of the language stuff, but for those of you that have been paying attention to Einstein voice and natural language processing and some of those areas, we've been making some enhancements. So you can go explore those. Same thing with just kind of building out the bot, just trying to make it a lot more consistent with process builder, flow builder. There's a few things in the details there about setting that up that I'll skip through just in the interest of time. But if you've got any questions as I'm going through, feel free to ask. All right, so case classification really kind of breaks down into a couple areas. In terms of feature enhancements, it's really about kind of triaging cases in a more smart way, or at least based on historical case attribution over some period of time. The machine learning platform can evaluate that existing data and help provide better recommendations. Being able, the second area is kind of routing, getting the work to the right place at the right time, and then of course making it easier to set up. I think just in terms of some of the highlights around case classification, some of the challenges around trying to get input into that model, we're controlling fields, validation rules, et cetera, that just caused a lot of chaos in terms of trying to evaluate that. So added another method for evaluating all of those dependencies and sort of preserving the intent of case without kind of breaking your processes, still be able to capture that information and then get it to someone that can fill in any dependent fields from there. So just in terms of automation and trying to automate or shorten the time for response, being able to provide recommendations around that, and these are sort of more guided recommendations. And again, it's based on what has historically been coming in from a case perspective. All right, so for knowledge base, the sharing and criteria-based capability went GA. Hooray! I think everybody that's deployed knowledge is really happy in thanking the dev team, engineering team for getting sharing finally deployed. So this really solves a lot of problems that we had with communities deployments and so forth. So I think any of you that are close to that certainly can appreciate where it's gotten in this period of time. We've finally been getting a lot more focus on multilingual support. And so any of you that have international customers and translations, I know there's some of you out there. I highly encourage you to look at some of these pilots. I know that there are open slots for just about all of these. The Spanish one and the French one might be full, but anyway, if you have any folks in those countries that want to do some pilots, please check the end of this slide deck and we can get you connected or reach out to your success manager. Okay, so going on with Service Cloud and specifically around voice, any of you that happen to be using the Service Cloud Voice, which is kind of our voice platform on Amazon Connect, we're extending that to now work across the platform, specifically with Sales Cloud, more focus on the setup UI and making it easier to deploy. I really like a lot of the investment we're making around process automation. I do think that some of the natural language processing that that we've been working on for a number of years is going to start coming to fruition here, and be able to be evaluated, early in a call connect, and be able to handle routing much more intelligently. So again, safe harbor, but keep your eyes on this one because I think it's going to be pretty exciting. Okay, omni-channel, lots of support. Lots of investment in skills-based routing. I kind of jest a little when I kind of made the Freudian there about support. We've had a few challenges around omni-channel working consistently across channels. There's definitely been some recognition about that from the engineering team, but that being said, that has sort of manifested itself in some of these new capabilities in not only performance, but just being able to handle more attributes and attribute-based routing. Really just been one of those areas that's been long overdue and very much appreciated now that it's here. Okay, Omni Supervisor, we're finally catching up on the supervisor side. So I think any of you that have been with us through this Service Cloud journey know that we try to get all of the agent experience done first in GA, and the supervisor capability usually comes in a release or two later. So this is the supervisor offering for the winter release, and I think in terms of the enhancements that we're making with voice and specifically Service Cloud voice and the new Amazon Connect platform that we're integrating with, we've had to make some refactoring here on the supervisor side to make sure that that's operating in a real-time enough manner to make decisions during your highest workflow. Okay, I think we have enough time to finish off Service Cloud, but if there are any specific kind of general cloud areas that you want me to jump to, I can do that as well. So just chime in or post something to the chat if you want. But we're going to keep rolling here with case management. So I mentioned some things about email earlier, but this was kind of the elephant in the room topic that I brought up a release or two back, just about kind of email threading, and there's been products in the ecosystem and so forth. I won't repeat that little soapbox moment, but suffice it to say, we've got a lot more functionality that is kind of caught up to current standards in terms of email threading and tracking. Lots of just lots of headaches removed with this one. So encourage you to review that feature, get it turned on as soon as possible. Okay, so in terms of community related items, we're doing a lot of work in the audience sort of functionality. Some of the sharing rule function capability that I mentioned back in the knowledge side of it has been some of that refactoring has really helped with focus in community visibility and permissions and security on the platform. So we've just had a lot of just general benefit in terms of some of the enhancements we've been making to just stay ahead of a lot of the security threats and just modern authentication practices. Okay, so we're finally getting automatic fields added to custom report types. I will be very giddy about this when I've just had a chance to talk to a couple admins that just were beside themselves, and certainly I can remember my very first time kind of working with reports as an admin, just pulling my hair out, not knowing why the field was not showing up. And so, here it is. So I'll leave it at that. Moving on to subscriptions, I think we've talked some there. We finally got some the Excel and CSV support GA, which I think it really helps with a lot of the kind of external processing and automation stuff that we had previously in Classic. And for those of you that have a good eye in the release notes, you'll also notice that we upped it to 15,000 rows of data, and I believe 30 columns are now supported in that file attachment. So any of you that haven't had a chance to test this yet, I encourage you to go jump on it in your sandbox, and I think it's very welcome news here. Okay, so moving on to mobile. Again, we've kind of talked through over the last year or so about kind of our new mobile platform, kind of doing the Lightning enablement and extending that out to mobile. So I think all of you have seen that transition in the mobile app. Hopefully all of you use it daily like I do. If you don't, you should. And especially if there's Android folks out there. I personally am not an Android person, but I know that we need more feedback from admins, and I think it tends to lag, as you know. But I would encourage you to be vocal on the Trailblazer community for you Android users to make sure that Lightning stays at parity on that platform as well. So anyway, I will try not to have any more soapbox moments during this. Launchpad, thumbs up to that. Again, UI focused, trying to enhance the user experience and make it consumable in the desktop environment. So again, kudos to our UI team on just making this much more, I think, natural sort of mobile experience that previously weren't there. And now any of you that have upgraded to iOS 14, being able to have specific object widgets directly in your home screen. Super big productivity enhancements, something that you can turn on very quickly and have an immediate benefit to your users. So and it can even be one of those things that helps attract users to the mobile platform because it's really getting more embedded with iOS. And again, I'll turn soapbox back on. We want to see the same kind of capability in the Android platform as well. So more native scrolling, integrating reminders directly from the mobile app into the reminder platform. Reports are much more functional now. I probably spent just 10-15 minutes just playing with the report functionality, just trying to sort and scroll and do kind of fun stuff between the desktop and see what it did on the mobile screen. Was kind of fun, but I geek out. So in terms of calendar, we're patiently still working on calendar. It's made a ton of progress. Stick with us in the long haul. We're going to get there. Calendar keeps getting better and better on the platform. So just if you're frustrated with calendar functionality on Salesforce and have given up a few releases ago, come back around and check it out in your sandbox at least. And I think you might be pleasantly surprised, but there's still a few things we gotta get off the backlog there. I encourage you to look at some of the enhancements around the activity timeline. We're trying to make it a little bit more interactive, a little bit more functional, because before you kind of just got what you got. So there's a few enhancements there to look at. So how are we doing on time so far, Chris?
We are, well, it's like 2 minutes until 7. So
yeah,
I mean, I would say you have 10, 15 more minutes. Is that cool?
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, great. So we'll try to wrap up with some customization in specifically Flow Builder. You all know my love for Flow Builder and Flow in general, but just getting better UI experience for the admin. Just auto layout, thank you. Like Physio's had this for how long? So yeah, I'm happy for that. Chris, I don't know how long ago it was when we were trying to debug flows when you were at Bizarre Voice. So maybe that was the first time you were at Bizarre Voice.
I lost
I
track.
poked the bear.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, we've made a lot of progress with debugging. So you know, it is important to note that this is not a production feature, and likely will not be a production feature just because of the CPU and platform overhead required to run that. But just dig into some of the debugging functionality. So some of the record update triggers we've simplified, trying to help improve the precision around that. So now when you create a record update flow, you have the option to kind of select that entry criteria and narrow that down. So it has an added benefit of the more precise that you get, the less CPU time and other platform drag that you sort of have in the system. So if you haven't gone through some of the refreshed content on the flow trails on Trailhead, go back and have a look at them, because we are adding some of these new capabilities into those as well. So I won't go through all of the specifics around designing this out, but the Trailhead modules are super great around kind of how you think about designing that and doing it in a performant way. Yay, record, I'm sorry, I didn't want to jump too far ahead. Yay, record delete triggers. So I think the bane of many an admin has been having to go, learn the syntax to create a simple delete trigger. And, just none of us want to do that, especially if we're not a developer. So we can now do it in Flow, yay. Anyway, I won't belabor it again, but that's just one of the things that I've been tracking for a very long time. So I'm happy to it's off the list. Directed error messages, again, getting this more personalized and improving the user experience is really kind of the focus there. Being able to actually figure out the tree of related objects, super beneficial. Been waiting for that for a while, and now you can just do it, point and click, navigate. Okay, I will not spend much time on API. However, the multi-column flow screens pilot is definitely something you should check out. I think when I did a show of hands, maybe it was back in when we were all live together in February, or maybe it was March, that I think there are a lot of folks were starting to use screen flows and so I included this here in this list, or left it in this list here, because I know that a lot of folks were looking for better UI control and functionality within those actual screen flows. So we've made it just a super amount of progress. You can now, I think, hopefully see some of the commonality between kind of flow builders, screen builders, and platform app builder and the like. So these are all, again, eventually going to all come together and coexist, safe harbor. But do take a look at the multi-column flow here. And I think I'll wrap up with this, because I always kind of harp on using, I shouldn't say harp on, I strongly encourage all of you as admins to run Optimizer regularly, run your health check regularly. This Optimizer, it's in cadence with our release schedule, but there are other content related things that can get updated as you run that. So just, make it part of your monthly routine to just, run that, make sure that you make it a best practice to just kind of stay on top of all of the any little hot spots that might be smoldering right now in your org. Look at your org metrics. If you're not looking at them with your SM, obviously capability in Optimizer will help you kind of sort some of that out. But any of you that are working with SMs, you should be familiar with a lot of these metrics as you go through them. And again, security, we're always trying to stay on the forefront of security within not only within the platform, but down into the feature level and even microservice level. We're always focusing and enhancing security. And so what comes with that is giving you better diagnostics, better telemetry on how to manage your org and just making sure that there's no new threat. So then I think I've got maybe 2 slides left here. The kind of managing best practices around performance. We've got a white paper out there. I think there's also a, this is the guide here. This should be a link. Yeah, it's linked in. So I'll make sure that that's out there. And I think with that, if there's no other questions, that's what I've got for Winter 21. I know there's a ton more that I didn't cover. So if there's any questions at the end, feel free to shoot them out there, and otherwise, happy adminning.
Thank you so much, Stephen. That was awesome as always. And you'll share this deck with us, and then we'll post it in the community. Good. Okay. Awesome. So all of the links in the deck will be available to you once we get it posted in the community. So just a couple quick items of business here to take care of before we wrap up. Number 1 is what you look forward to every meeting, and that is a certification voucher giveaway. So Cindy and I have selected one person randomly from the participants, and tonight's winner is Clarissa Fuselier. Chloe won a cert voucher. It's good for a $200 or a $400 certification. Just if you don't mind, Chloe, just ping me privately here in the Zoom chat with your email address, and we will get that sent over to you. So congratulations to you, Chloe. Yep. Let's see. Cindy, what else do we have? Is that it?
A huge thank you to Stephen. I know you already said that, but Stephen, it's always a pleasure to see you, and thank you for presenting to the group and sharing all of this exciting stuff with us. And otherwise, again, thanks to everybody that participated tonight. It's always nice to see people each and every month come together in this community. And I'm so happy that we're staying strong as one group throughout this time. I mean, I can't believe how many, I'm not even counting the months these days. So I'm going to pretend we're still like in month 1, but it's really nice that we are continuing this community together, and we'll be back together soon, whatever that means. And also thanks Kate and Miravis.
Yeah, Kate just posted something in the chat about a mixer coming up.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
You want to tell us
Yeah,
anything?
so I mentioned it earlier that we are celebrating our 5-year anniversary, which I still can't believe it's been 5 years, next Friday. So it's a virtual social here on Zoom. We'll have some fun breakout sessions and share some announcements. We'll also be kicking off our Veterans Day fundraising campaign. So if you do feel like giving back to Marivis in that capacity, we always are going to be welcoming fundraisers to help us with that effort. But I have the Eventbrite here link. You can find it on our Twitter as well. But yeah, we hope to see some of you guys there too.
Awesome. I'm so glad we got the details on that communicated verbally as well. Thanks for posting it, but it's really nice to have all the details. That's wonderful. And if you've ever, I know we're all Zoom experts or virtual meeting experts at this point, but the ability to do the breakout sessions really does facilitate that small group chat where you feel so connected. So that's a really exciting thing if you're doing that. I've been in several of those like really big meetings that then kind of break it out and randomize the groups, and it's really cool. So that's exciting. Otherwise, yeah, have a great night, Chris. Thank you for all the work you put into this meeting this month. It's always great. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And thank you again, Stephen. Always a pleasure.
No, thank you all for attending and listening to me rant.
Hey guys, before you guys go, may I ask a question?
Sure.
So, the admin or Salesforce admin, I recently got into it. I'm going through the Trailhead Salesforce.com, and I've been going through the admin side. And what I'm trying to accomplish is I'm trying to pivot into Salesforce realm at this point, and I'm not sure if I'm going through the right channel or not. And I saw this particular meeting, so I decided, hey,
Yeah.
I should go there and just see what's going on. And so I mean, obviously I didn't catch everything you said. I didn't understand everything, but I'm starting to learn the lingo and everything, but I don't even know if I'm in the right place.
You
So-
are in the right place, and welcome to the Ohana. It's just awesome that you're eager to learn more about Salesforce and just digest all of this information. So just I promise you, just keep showing up at these meetings. It's going to start making sense. Keep working through your trailhead. There's a lot of just learning paths that you can just find anything that says get started and finish those modules and those paths, and you'll really start picking it up before you know it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and one
Cindy,
good thing
anything to add?
out of it is I ran into Marivis, which I'd never even heard about before. So that's another information I got. And me being a vet, which I'm thinking maybe I could request some help there. So
Thank you for your service.
oh no.
Charles, you will learn so much from
Elements
me
as well.
Okay, so I'll keep on showing up.
Yes, sir. You do it.
Yeah, please do.
We'll be here for you.
Yeah, definitely. Feel free to post any questions in the community that we have. I always tell people that I wouldn't be where I am without a ton of help from a lot of people, many of whom are on
Same
this
here.
call. Yeah, Cindy helped me. She hired me twice actually. She made that mistake twice.
What again, Chris?
I've had the good fortune of working with Stephen both as a colleague. We worked at the same company, and then I got to work with him again. He was my success manager one of the times that I worked at Bizarre Voice. And so I've had a ton of help from those two people, many other people on the call tonight, and I take every opportunity I can to pay that forward. So Charles, reach out anytime with any questions. Connect on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Twitter, and reach out anytime. We are here as a community. We are here to help.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and that goes for everyone on the call, by the way.
Yeah.
Reach out anytime. If I can help, I will. And if I can't, I'll try and find somebody who can.
Great. Yeah, I'm so glad I showed up, and I was just hoping. But yeah, it's great
Yeah.
that thanks.
You bet.
Thanks for speaking up, Charles, as well. I think that's important. You show up, but also speaking up. And that's a hugely important thing for all of us, is just to ask if you have a question, right? Or reach out. And that is what this community is all about. And while there are resources out there, Trailhead is wonderful. Having a buddy is priceless. Having a guide, having somebody to just ask is so helpful. So thanks again, Charles, for setting a great example and just speaking up to the group and asking when you have a question. So with that, I think we're going to
Well,
sign off.
Yeah,
Thanks, everybody.
real quick, Cindy, can I, since
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
playing the role of Zach tonight, if you feel comfortable, would you mind unmuting your video? And I'm going to try and grab a screenshot here really quickly of everyone to commemorate the occasion. So yeah, if you don't mind, I won't be able to grab everybody. I'll grab everyone that my screen will allow. But yeah, just unmute yourselves if you don't mind.
Chris, while you're doing that, if I can just point out in the chat, I just posted a quick announcement. We're doing another Super Badge Sunday this week, focusing on the security Super Badge. It's free. It's a study group, sort of a kickstart to do the Super Badge. There's a link there where you can get the tickets, limited seats.
Awesome. Thank you, Pat. And let me just grab one more screenshot. I got one, but let me grab one more. So smile, 1, 2, 3.
Ohana.
Awesome.
I was paid to say that.
Right, of course. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Stephen, for presenting. Thank you, Kate, for hosting. Thank you, Cindy, for all that you do for the Ohana. So grateful to all of you. So thank you very much. And I think with that, we're going to call it a night.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.